Hey guys, it's WooGs here. This will be class 6 out of 7, I guess we can say. So I'm doing the charge pally here, which I think is probably the most infamous Rathma killer we had in the last season and this season. I have to give a shout out to Arts. You know, he was able to give me some of this pally gear to use so that I could do this kill. So that was, really helpful today. So really appreciate that. He helped me get my levels up today too. We did a G rush and got this all settled in. So yeah, I'll kind of talk away through it. So um, Charge Pally, it's a really interesting boss here because it has such high damage, and the fact that you get the parry off, which is very similar to the claw block parry, but that also does damage to undead. It gives you a lot of extra damage for Void Knights, and the fact that it's also a movement skill, all baked into one, so you're really just using one skill to do everything. It really simplifies the fight for you. You don't need to worry about a few hotkeys, swapping through how you're doing your movement, or anything like that. Last season it had fixed frames, so it was just insane speed. Now you actually need to have some sort of IAS during decrep, so you actually need to use fanaticism as well. And I guess not even just for the crep, just in general. So before you had basically 20 extra free points because you were using might. Now you need to use fanaticism. So that makes it slightly harder, but to be honest, it's quite reasonable still because I think paladins have some really good skills. So we can talk through that here. So I mean, there's not really too much to say in terms of the gameplay because you do just a lot of damage. You'll see the chunk damage I'm doing off of Mendel now, and then you can just use your charge to get away from dodging any of the spires. And the damage on the golems is just really high. You can kind of take your time here. This is my first try on Pally, so I was a bit, you know, bit getting used to the skills here as I'm going through it. I think, yeah, I didn't really like this position he was in here, so I kind of wanted to move around because I don't like being near the spire that much, and two, I wasn't sure what I was hitting. Of course, you get splash damage, so you will do some damage to men down anyway. You also did see I did parry the Sludge Nova, so just like claw block or dodge, you can, parry with sword block or holy sword, block the damage from the Sludge Nova, and really any projectile, that cold one there, or any of the cold spires. But the spears and such from Rathma you can't block since they do percent health. You can't actually block those. But some of the other projectiles he casts out like teeth and such, of course you can parry as well. So yeah, like you can have a ton of rejuves in phase one. Now I would say the Pally, as I'll go into it, because there's not too much to talk about here. The main thing with the Pally is getting the right weapon and getting your weapon sorted out. Now, obviously, I have a really good one here from Arts, which is a Doombringer with some really good jewels in there. So you only need about, I think it's 70 IAS total to hit the max breakpoint with Fanaticism. So since you get 30 off your Andes already, and then we're using Ghoul Hides here for another 20, I mean, you're practically there already, right? You just need the extra 20 there. So you can put a lot of just max damage into your Doombringer. Um, why Doombringer? I mean, everyone last season was using Grandfather. It's because of the base speed. Now that we now that we actually don't just have fixed frames here, you need kind of a fast weapon with charge in order to be able to hit the max frames without having to tank a lot of IAS. And that's kind of the main reason there. But you'll see a ton of pots left. I wouldn't say I played it super optimally or anything here. Um, I got 3.6k life. I'm only level I think 87, so there's a lot of room to play there. I didn't want to go in too high level. I'd want to say that's because I wanted to show you don't need all the levels in AR and skills, but to be honest, it was just I didn't want to level anymore. Making these 7 characters, I've been, it's a bit of a grind, so I literally just got in maps till I could use all my gear. And then once I did that, I think I hit one extra level just because the map experience was so good. They were doing like triple ES maps. So I was like, okay, I'll just, I'll get that second level there. So I hit 87, then just threw out all the gear and kind of went right into the fight here. Now, phase one we saw, I don't like to say things are easy, but it was easy, right? I mean, like in comparison to a lot of other builds. Phase two, it still has that, that sense of ease. However, you have to be careful because the spears are can really kill you, and if you get a fire trail, you see that was one spear chunk there, which is a lot. But you see how we have the fire trails there in the middle. So if you're just gonna sit and face tank him, and then he hits you with a spear, you're gonna get chunked out, and you're gonna die from that. So if I stand here and I get hit by a spear right there, I was gonna die. So I instant potted that. And so what you want to do is you want to listen and move to the side. I'm not doing a very good job there. You see the damage to the souls is really good. I don't like him being against a wall because you can't actually move around him. See, like that, you kind of want to hear the spear, move around. But you see, I get taken a little bit low, but that's because you're just face taking a lot of these spears. Now, since these guys are undead, they die very quickly because of your extra damage that you have. We have damage to undead on ghoul hides as well as the holy sword as well. So that's a lot of extra damage there. Again, I think the simplicity of the build makes it that much of the reason a lot of people do it. It's also just very strong, but the fact that not only your movement speed skill is your damage skill, what you use to get out of cages is also the same skill. So it's kind of like the cold arrow kill that I did as well. Like you're only casting the one ability, so you're just charging the whole time. You could put a point into Joust to do some repositioning and such, but you really don't need it. The movement you get from charge is just really good. It's fast, you don't have much need to actually reposition fully. Um, I would say what you need to do is, if you get, this is really good damage here. This is another position I actually don't like him in, because you see, you actually have no way of dodging the spear in this position. You're always going to get hit just because your hitbox. So I kind of moved away to try to see if he'd come away from there. Of course, Rathma is just one of these fights that's frustrating because he just went back to the same spot again. 'Cause I think he knew I was annoyed with it. But you see here, the knights, when they're grouped together, you got a good splash damage. Obviously with charge, if the further away you are, like the bigger splash it'll have. So if you do a far distance charge, you actually can do a big splash to hit a lot of the knights at once, but I don't think you should really focus on that at all. So again, if you get, I guess my train of thought there, but I guess if you get the high enough damage here, you should really just pot at almost every instance of, 3/4 life, because you see we have all these pots here plus our cube, and I played it pretty aggressively there. So yeah, just, watch the sheet damage here and, compare to what you have. I think for the most part, if you're building one, you'll have a little bit less damage in this because this is actually a really good Doombringer. However, a lot of the charms I would say are not perfect. Like there's some double AR life ones. You could be doing max damage ones as well. I mean, that's the thing is you have so much damage on the ED percentage and from your max damage in your Doombringer that you don't get a huge benefit from that either. So I think that's why the charms are so free, that you kind of just want to use stats and charms, which you'll see later. But I think you can reach a similar level of damage by changing up some gear if you don't have quite a big Doombringer. I would not go with a slower base though, it does feel a lot worse. And if you do have to tank more IAS to hit the max breakpoint, your health will drop quite a bit. And 3.6 is, it's a lot compared to some of those other builds I was running, but the danger you have of just being in the melee range there, I wouldn't want to go too low because you'll definitely die. I mean, if you're not too worried about being in 100% kind of build, then maybe you can do something like that. But if you want to have guaranteed success, and I think this is one of the builds that people are using the most for item farming because it's quick, it's relatively safe, and again the simplicity. You don't have to worry about frenzy timers or swapping skills to break the cages or anything like that. So that definitely has some benefits to it that you'd want to consider if you're kind of thinking what build you want to make. Phase 3, really the strategy is very similar to a lot of the other builds that you just want to hug men down. You want to hug men down and charge him down and then listen and take the visual cues for spears and dodge that. If you're right against men down, you can kind of ignore him because he's just going to throw out some poison balls and that cold FHR, which is you're going to charge through anyway. So all you kind of want to be doing is focusing men down and watching Rathma. Um, when he brings out a Conjuring Soul, you can just take that down and then move right back to men down. You see there, we're going to antidote that Poison Nova, and then we're going to go after the Knights. Since we have a lot of good movement, we can get to the sludge pretty quickly, so I don't mind being a bit further away to refill the pots, but again, same kind of strategy. You want to stay close to men down here, and then just kind of watch Rathma. If he goes into that sound when he casts the spear, you know he's going to do 3 of them in a row, so just don't really bother stopping, just kind of, anticipate those so you don't get hit by any of them. They're pretty telegraphed. The random spears are the ones you're more likely to die to. See, there's quite a bit of damage there. Again, we just claw blocked that sludge, which is nice to have. But there's quite a bit of random damage, or I guess like just AoE damage in this fight, so you do have to be a bit careful. Be watching your health bar for that. And just take out the sources of additional damage, like the Conjuring Souls. They die so quickly because they're undead that they really shouldn't stay up. You should just focus them down and make sure that they're not out for when the Void Knights come out, because that's really your chance that you're going to die. I'd say you have some pretty good luxury when you have a break like that, like I did there, to make sure you have full pots. Yeah, like a Sludge Nova took me down to 1 HP. The sludge won't kill you, as I talked about before, but it's definitely scary, so you kind of want to instant pot around the time you get hit by a sludge always. About what I was saying, if you get through a Poison Nova phase from Rathma, make sure that you fill up your belt entirely before you do any DPS, because you know you're very close to a night phase, and there's no reason to go into a night phase with half belt when you can clearly avoid it. So yeah, just take care of that. Pay attention to that, and just, okay, antidote here. So at this point we've done all the night phases and we're just going to be bursting down Mendon. I'm just going to face tank it here. This is not what I would recommend to do. You should clearly dodge the spells like I did for phase 2, but I know I'm not going to really die there, so I wasn't really worried about wasting pots. This is just something I wanted to see, so I made this character a few hours ago. So yeah, only 3 hours and 47 minutes, just went in on that. Because, you know, the Paladin's just very strong. I don't think it's a showcase of skill or anything on that side for mine. It's just Paladin's very strong. This is really good gear. But I just wanted to showcase what another strong build would look like, because, you know, I am doing some weird builds as well. I think I might do a weird Paladin one soon, but I have to finish the Sork kill first, because once I get the Sork, then we've done all 7 for 7. There's a Doombringer there, so that's quite nice. There's your 20 IS and huge ED, double jaw on the Gladbane, max life, Andes. Pretty nice amulet there. Water walks, ring, you know, kind of standard stuff, I would say. We're only running 150 PLR. You don't really need 175 on a lot of builds. You see here the charms are kind of nice ones, but also just a mixed match of a lot of different health, AR, res, just to kind of get what we can. I think I had 9.4k AR, which isn't crazy. We max charge here. We max the synergies of might and vigor, and then we max fanaticism for the breakpoint here, which gets us that 70 for 7 frames. I have a couple points into resist cold just to get to 88, and then I dumped into holy shield with only like 9 points. And so obviously with more levels you'd put a lot more there, and yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone. Yeah, cheers.